from what you've wanted for a long, long time?
You know what? It's one win at a time. But yes, it would require 6. It's hard to believe it's actually here after just a crazy year. I mean, as we all know, with COVID, we had the one pause before Christmas that was a extended period of time. Then we had another brief one just to wait on some other test results, and we're fortunate that did not lead into anything more than just a one-game miss. But I've just got to praise our athletic department, our support staff, our medical staff, and then our players. I mean, you know, from day one, when we had to talk about this back in June, when we were going to be able to bring our student athletes back on campus, you know, we had some blunt, direct conversations with our student athletes. You know, I pretty much told my kids that, you know, you're coming back here to train and get prepared for a season. If you're planning to come back and go to parties, don't come, because if you go and I find out, you won't be here with us. You know, it was pretty cut and dry. And, you know, some might say that's harsh, but, you know, back then we really didn't know much about this virus, but we did know that it spread pretty quickly. So very, very fortunate that we had a group of players that completely bought in and have done a remarkable job. Knock on my desk here, knock on wood, that this can continue for the next 2.5, 3 weeks. But, you know, as I've said, our 2 little pauses we had did not initiate with our student athletes. You know, it initiated with people within our tier 1 group, but it was not our student athletes. So I'm just very grateful to them and their families as well, Fred, because, you know, we had some families that came to games and it was like, hey, you know, you can wave to them, but we just can't take that risk of, you know, you going out to eat and giving them a big hug and all that stuff. And it wasn't easy for any of them, but we're finally where we thought we could get, and that is the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. And we you know, very fortunate and blessed to be a 2 seed.
Hey, Jeff, it's Cameron with the Courier Journal. Kind of off that, the consistency that your team had, even despite COVID. I mean, even off both your pauses, you won the game off your pause. You won 11 straight in January. How much do you feel like their ability to consistently handle that throughout the season, I mean, helped pave the way for the success you guys had this year?
Well, I think it speaks volumes for their mental approach. Vanessa Shannon, you know, our sports performance works with our student athletes here in women's basketball, and I think she does an outstanding job of working with them on how to handle adverse situations. And this entire season was an adverse situation. You never knew what to expect. You know, you would sit there. If you played on a Thursday, you'd wait to get Tuesday's test result back. And if it's all negative, then that cleared you for Thursday's game. But you'd be cleared for Thursday's game, but then you'd be waiting to see what your opponent, if they cleared it. There was just a lot of, you know, what's going to happen next. But our mentality was, hey, let's just make sure we are ready, we stay focused, and continue to go down the path that we had talked about as a team back in June, and that was to have the opportunity to play in an NCAA tournament that was taken away from us last year with COVID.
Jeff, this is Kevin with WHAS 11. Just your thoughts on being a 2 seed, the region, the draw that you guys got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. You know, when we lost there to Florida State, we got dropped from a 1 to a 3, I think, or whatever that was between reveals. So when we lost on a last second shot to, you know, NC State in the conference finals, I didn't know if we dropped to a 9, 10, or what it may have been. So to end up on the 2 line, it's very rewarding, and I think it speaks volumes of our body of work that we have had throughout the entire season. And then, you know, the ACC had the most teams of any conference make the NCAA tournament. So I think it also speaks volumes of how good our league is.
Hey Jeff, it's Jody. You were talking about all of the challenges you guys overcame this year. How much in the next 3 weeks is mental preparation and mental aspect going to be big for whoever can advance, be it you, be it anybody, because it's going to be so different at the NCAA tournament?
Oh no, there's no question about it. I mean, we have talked about that briefly. Basically from the manual that I just received, I haven't had the opportunity to enjoy looking through all of it yet, but I will. And you basically, there's no outside time. It's kind of like recess back when we were all in grade school. If it rained, it sucked. You had to go to the inside gym. You couldn't get outside. That's basically the way it's going to be for the first 2 rounds. There is something in writing that says you're allowed outside possibly if you get to the Sweet 16. But up until that day, we will leave here on Wednesday. We'll get down there. We'll go directly to our hotel. They'll COVID test you there. Then you have to wait for that result. And then within 12 hours, you can take a second one. And then you've got to wait for that result to come back. Until that second result comes back as a negative, you are not allowed outside of your room. And then once you're cleared, you're only allowed outside of your room to go eat or practice or play. So it's kind of one of those, as my parents told me growing up, stop eating so fast. Believe me, I'm going to be the slowest eater that there could be at that tournament if that means I can stay outside of my room for an extra 15 or 20 minutes, because it's going to be tough. I mean, there's no question about it, but it's what we all want to do. We want the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. So, we can laugh about it and joke about it, and we'll make the best of it, but we wouldn't trade it for anything.
Fred Calgill again. What do you think of Dana? What are some of the intangibles and the things that have made her so good, especially in terms of raising her game and the people around her?
Well, I think it's just her work ethic. It's the, everybody, as she's been all the way from the first time she ever played the game, you're too small, you can't do this, you can't do that. She's always had a chip on her shoulder. She's always wanted to try to prove somebody wrong. And as I told her the other day, there's nothing else to prove. So now I need her to enjoy the moment and really embrace the fact that she is surrounded by great players, other great players. And, we don't need her to take 20 shots. Now, if she's 15 for 20, sure, keep shooting the ball. But it's one of those where now you just want to take good shots, get everyone involved. So now all of a sudden we're a much, much more difficult team to defend when you've got to worry about everyone, because we have players that can score from all areas of the floor.
Jeff, Tim Sullivan from the Courier. I know it's been less than an hour since you saw the bracket, or you were placed in the bracket. Do you know anything about Marist, what their nickname is, what city they're located in?
Tim, the Red Foxes. I mean, it's not my first rodeo. I mean, come on. Marist, their coach is actually a friend of mine from many years back. Tim, we played them. It may have been year 4 down in Las Vegas. I believe it was Shoney's freshman year, and they actually beat us in a tournament. He's been there, golly, for 30 plus years, I believe. I mean, he's done a remarkable job. Great guy. I'm looking forward to seeing him, because unless things have changed, he's always got a large Diet Coke underneath his seat, and it used to be the old McDonald's big cup. So I'm looking forward to see if that's changed. But they run a 5-out motion. It's read and react. Yeah, really, really good basketball team that obviously won their league, won their tournament, and won the tournament championship. I think the final game was like a 30-point win. So I'm looking forward to be able to dive into it a little bit further and watch film some tonight and tomorrow.
Should have known. Thanks.
Come on, Tim.
Hey, Jeff, it's Cameron again. You've touched on this, I think, earlier in the season, just about the seating doesn't matter as much because you're not hosting. You feel like the neutral site, everybody in San Antonio, makes this a little bit more of an unpredictable type of tournament where you may see more upsets than you may have seen in past years?
I personally think it's going to be the best tournament that we've had since I've been coaching. The fact that you no longer have that second round game on a home court. I think we've only lost that second round game one time to DePaul when we had the opportunity to host. It's just, when you've got 8,000-9,000 cheering for you and you're playing at home, it's a big difference to where now they're all on a neutral site. Plus the way it looked, the way I read through it, it's each person in your party gets 6 possible tickets for the game. So there's 34 in our travel party. So what do you have there? 204 that can be cheering for you if you max out your pass list. Is that right, guys? 34 times 6, 24. That's that NKU math, people. I'm just telling you, the Ivy League of Kentucky colleges. My claim to fame. I've still got my grades if you'd like to see my transcript. I was Dean's List, Eric, one semester.
Coach, when you think about what you've built here, what are some of the building blocks that have gotten you to this point? How have you built this program to unprecedented success?
It's a lot of hard work. I've been very fortunate to have great staff. Steph Norman's been here with me the entire 14 years. And, I think that the most amazing thing, at least that when I look at other staffs, we have not had one assistant coach leave here to be an assistant coach someplace else. They've only left here to be a head coach. So, I think that speaks volumes for what this program's about, the type of players that we have. They're great kids. They're great players. And then I've always been a big believer. I know I like to have a good time and joke with you all because I appreciate the fact that we're having this opportunity to have a media interested in women's basketball. But I've always – it's really important to me that you've got to be one that's accessible to your fan base. I'm very grateful. I'm not stupid to think that, I built this thing all by myself. I mean, when we went to our first Final Four, I called and I thanked Tom Collin because Tom Collin recruited Angel McCoughtry. And I think she was pretty darn good. Candace Bingham was a transfer that sat out Tom's last year. So I'm not naive enough, Fred, to think that this has just been all because of me. There have been a lot of people that have put a lot of hard work into this. I appreciate what Tom did and giving me the opportunity for this to be my first head coaching job. And then Vince has continued on the support of women's basketball. And it's not like that everywhere. So we're going to keep doing what we do. I always tell our kids it's important to be humble and be genuine because the people you pass on the way up are the same ones you're passing on the way down in life. There's so many ups and downs that you always need to remember that because when things are going good, it's great. But when things turn south on you, it's nice to have a hand that's going to reach out and pick you up.
Hey, Jeff, it's Dominic with the Courier Journal. Now that you are heading into the NCAA tournament, what are some things that you'll just keep honing in on, try to clean up, correct, now that you're getting ready for tournament play?
Well, we've got to continue to work on half-court execution. That's one of the things that really hurt us, I thought, there in the last 3 or 4 minutes of that NC State game. So we're doing a lot of situational basketball, tie score, 4 minutes to go, and just talking about the importance of making someone guard us, making the extra pass. But when you got a good shot, take it. No need to panic. We talk all the time right now about I'd rather have a dead ball turnover. Even with 2 minutes to go, just sit on it. If we get a shot clock violation, I'll take a shot clock violation instead of making a pass that all of a sudden turns into a layup. So give us a chance to defend, because I think we're defending extremely well right now. And then we've really been working on late game situations, 3 seconds to go, 5 seconds to go. And we've added a few sets, a few plays that we can hopefully pull out when those situations occur that we haven't run yet this season.
Hey, Jeff, I know you guys got a taste of it a bit in the ACC tournament final with it being such a tight game, but what are you emphasizing to some of the younger players about, I guess, the intensity change or mindset change that comes once you get into the tournament?
Well, it's it's one of the things that really has not been talked about much with our team. I've only got 2 players right now that have ever played in a postseason basketball game for Louisville. Only 2. I've only got 4 players that have ever played in the NCAA tournament before. So we graduated 3 starters, Yassine Diop from last year's team who played a ton, and now I've got Dana Evans, Mikasa Robinson are my two Louisville players that started here that have played in NCAA tournament. And then you've got Alana Smith, who played at UCLA as a freshman, and then Kiana Smith that played at Cal. So I've only got 4 players. We only have 4 players that have had any NCAA tournament experience. So there's going to be a lot of learning on the fly, but that's why we've been trying to make practice as competitive as we have and as hard as we have, so they're prepared for when that moment arises.
Hey, Jeff, you mentioned it earlier, just a chip Dana always has on her shoulder. What have you seen from her the last week and a half after the ACC tournament? I know she took that loss kind of hard.
Yeah, she took the loss hard, which I think is great. I think, what I've seen more of is just her taking a deep breath. And, I talked to her about, these are the moments that you might not be the one that makes the shot because the opponents are going to be running 2 or 3 people at you. They're not going to let you get an easy look. It's going to be a teammate. It very well could be a teammate, but you've got to be able to make that read to make that pass. And she's embraced that. We've worked on some things in practice to help her get to see, hey, this is where they're bringing the extra defender from. And I really think she feels confident in that. I talked to her about the Virginia Tech game again, how at the end of that game, the last 2.5 minutes, she makes a great pass to Haley, a great pass to Kiana. And then the last minute she takes our last 2 shots. But she gets some layups because she had made those passes, which spread the defense out and allows her to do what she does. So that's what we've talked about a lot.
Coach, it's often been said that teams reflect a coach's personality, that the team has a personality of its own. If that's really true, what's your team's personality? What would you say to someone about it who didn't know it or hadn't seen it before?
Well, Fred, I thought you were going to start off with it reflects your coach's looks, and I was going to say I agree. We've got a pretty good-looking team. No, you know what? I hope we fight. I hope that's one thing that we're competitive. You're going to see players play with emotion. If there's a loose ball, I expect to see us diving after a loose ball. You got to play with passion. I mean, I thought in our ACC finals, I thought we competed. I thought we got after it defensively. We really, if there was a loose ball, we're on the ground. We showed passion. And that's what I hope that we'll see through every game as we hopefully move forward in the NCAA tournament.
Jeff, you've had it's going to be a 2-week plus break, and a lot of time to put that disappointment of the last game behind you, but also a lot of time just to kind of work on stuff. What have the practices been like, and how do you feel like this break will be for your group?
Now, Eric, it's been good. Our practices have been very competitive. We did give off Friday and Saturday. Basically, what we did was we played on Sunday in the ACC Championship, gave off Monday, Tuesday, came back, practiced Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What I realized from that practice on Wednesday was I can't just give them 2 straight days off. We just looked winded. We looked like we lost some conditioning. But we had 3 great practices, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we came back in on Saturday. We have to get COVID tested every single day. So we did our COVID test Saturday morning, and then I just had them condition with our strength coach for about a half hour. Sunday, obviously, we have our COVID test, but it was a day off of all practice conditioning. Came back today and was very pleased. I was really pleased with how we competed with each other. Tomorrow, we'll actually break some film down tonight and work on a few things that all 3 teams might do. If we can find a common thread that all 3 of them like to do with Marist and Central Florida and Northwestern, we'll do some of that tomorrow, because Wednesday is going to be an off day. It's our travel day. And then we'll come back and be able to practice Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I believe we open up on Monday. The 8 p.m. game. I think we're the last game in the first round. So I'll have to drink some coffee before that one.
Hey, Jeff, you guys have a very dedicated, large fan base, and especially this time of the year, you always have a lot of eyes on you anyway. But with the men's team out, I know somebody had tweeted Dana and said, we need you guys to carry the city. Do you think about potentially having even more eyes than normal on you guys, or is that not something you even think about much?
No, that's not something we think about. We feel terrible, heartbroken for our men's team. I mean, my family, we were sitting there watching that draw, and I was anticipating, expecting them to get picked. And I know the amount of work that goes into all of this the entire year, everything, from the coaches to the players. So it's gut wrenching. There's no question about it. But, to sit there and say there's extra pressure or more people watching, no. I mean, I don't. I think the ones that watch women's basketball are still going to watch it, and the ones that don't. So I really don't think all of a sudden we're going to have this big following that we haven't had before. Because I think this is one city that a lot of our fans watch both, and support both. And I think that's what makes our fan base so special.
Got time for 1 or 2 more?
I got nowhere to go.
You got another one, Coach.
They can wait.
Jeff, kind of really quick, I asked Dana the same question. Liz Dixon, the jump she's made from last year to this year, and I think we touched on a lot this year. It's probably bigger than anybody in the ACC, arguably.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could put into words the importance she's had for you guys' success this year, because you've needed 2 posts at times on the floor.
Oh, there's no question. I've said it all along, and I'll continue to say it. I truly believe our 6. We're going to go as far as Liz Dixon and Olivia Cochran take us. I know our guard plays fantastic, but rebounds the ball like no other freshman post that we've ever had here. And then Liz, it's the work she's put in. It's no accident. I tell people all the time, she's made a big jump because she's put the work in. Like, she worked this summer during the COVID break, and it is, with classes now all being online, some of them have embraced that, and they've been in the gym more on their own than I've ever seen them. And they've, instead of using it as a time off, they've been like, hey, this is a chance for me to get better at what I do. So, and Liz has been one of those. She's in that gym shooting, working on post moves by herself every day. So it's been huge for us. And we're going to continue to need her to play well throughout this tournament.
Jeff, every year in every tournament, there's a team or a little handful of teams that just lifts it up somehow, and you can't explain it, but they're peaking right time, actually probably playing better than they really are. And you've had some teams do that in the tournament yourself. I mean, if you could replicate that just by saying something, you would. But what goes into it when a team starts doing that? What do you think the players start feeding off of most to start doing that?
Well, I think it's it's as I've always said, our teams that have turned out to be something special are the ones, Eric, that don't worry about when I'm yelling at them, because it's all in love. But if they miss a box out, instead of worrying about, oh, did coach see that? Is he going to get on me? They're already apologizing to their teammates, because they let a teammate down. When I start seeing that, then I know we've got a chance to be special, because then they're in it for each other. And when we get to that point, which I saw it in our ACC tournament run, they really started to hold themselves accountable. And if we can continue to carry that over, we've got a chance, because we've got the ability to score the ball. There's no question about it. If we can defend like we did against NC State and then get a little sharper on half-court execution, then I think we can make a run.
Thank you, Coach.
I appreciate y'all. Thanks,
everybody.